Hello, everyone. Welcome to the post-mortem where we break down the game that's just gone on between Manchester United and Newcastle, where we've effectively just been beat 3-0 by their B-Tech team. I mean, they've got a list of injuries. It was basically the fringe team. And to get beat by that extent is pretty fucking embarrassing. We're out of the Carabao Cup. Manchester United have lost 8 plus of their first 15 games in a season for the first time since 1962. And while they've lost 5 of their first 10 games at home for the first time, that's as well since 1930 to 1931. So we're breaking records again, all for the wrong reasons. And I'm sure there's other ones as well that I've not even mentioned. It seems like Ten Hag has lost the dressing room. The players are down in tools again for the millionth time. The signings that we've made don't seem good enough. We've spent a lot of money. There's no cohesion. Ten Hag keeps making strange substitutes that are just confusing me, which I really don't understand. We are one of the worst teams defensively and offensively I have seen this season. Like some of the defending from Dalot and Maguire and other players like that today were fucking criminal. And this is Newcastle's B team. It's lucky that Trippier, Guimaraes, and players like Isaac and these kind of guys were available for 90 minutes because it would have been even more fucking embarrassing than that. In the first half, Sam, get on this. As a team, we won 10 out of 32 ground duels in 45 minutes. That's a 31% win rate. So there lies the problems. I get people's frustrations for the manager. There's going to be a lot of people calling for his head now. But the question goes again, doesn't it, Sam? Who the fuck do you bring in? Do you do another interim job and then just call it a season? Another kind of Ollie job and then they'll probably give him the job full time? Like, what do we do now? Because this is a fucking mess, innit?
There's nothing you can do in the short term to change what is going on right now. Like changing the manager won't do anything. You could buy 4 new players in January. It isn't changing anything. Like this is not changing quickly. I think this just it goes to show. Like I go on about the Glazers and I go on about the ownership and the structure of this club and the recruitment and everything. The club's rotten from top to bottom. And when like if your house is rotten from the foundations, you can put a lick of paint on it, you can build an extension, you can fucking build whatever you want inside the house, make it look great, but the foundations are gonna crumble and the house is gonna fall apart and it's gonna look like shit. And that's what's going on at the club. This club has been neglected for how long have they been here? 17 years, 18 years?
18
Yeah.
years, yeah.
It's been neglected for 18 years and this is the result of what happens. This is what goes on. And when you get the combination of a manager who's trying to force in a new system and the players are clearly not buying it, they're not capable of playing it, or they've just decided, oh, this is too hard and we're not going to do it, and they've down tools. And you just got a combination of everything. Poor recruitment, not looking at character profiles of players. Like you've got players like Jadon Sancho who are clearly not fit to be in this club. Casemiro is clearly on a decline. There's a reason Real Madrid clearly wanted rid of him because you could see he's on the way out. It's from top to bottom. There is nothing that we can fix right now that is going to change the state and the direction of this club. Nothing. So you can call for the manager's head. You can call for Bruno to be stripped to captaincy. You can call for all that. But until we have the club from top to bottom stripped apart and put new things in place and new structure, it ain't changing and it's going to get worse. That's it.
Well, it's the same cycle always continues, but one thing that always changes is the manager. No one else is accountable
Nope.
at the top. Look, I said at the start of the thing, is some of these substitutions are just confusing. I don't understand them. The one second for Dalot, I understood because he needed to come off because that was one of Diego Dalot's worst performances I've ever seen in the United shirt. It was fucking terrible. Defensively, I'm worried about Amrabat. I thought Amrabat coming in would bring that control. Him and Casemiro in a double pivot. He came on for Casemiro, so you're rarely seeing him together. But he doesn't look like quite up to it. Looks like a bang average player. People were kind of hoping he'd be the saviour. Mason Mount, who I've kind of sung from the hills. Like I can see why you would bring in a player of that caliber, and I can see what he can offer to the team. He was dog shit, absolutely shit. Anthony, 85 million. Like wow. I put a thing up on Twitter before. I don't know if you've seen it, Sam. We paid I think it was like 375 million for Maguire, Anthony, Fred, Pogba, and there was one more on that list as well. I can't remember who it was. Man City paid 100 million less for De Bruyne, Stones, Edison, Rodri, loads of other players. And I think that's where lies the problem. The recruitment, what you're seeing on that pitch right now for the money that we have paid just does not represent anything close to it. That was the thing is, that was Newcastle's B team. That was their shit team. I looked at that team at the first time. I'm sure you probably did the same. And I was like, that is a fucking shit. I said to my mates, that's an awful team. If we don't beat that tonight, what do you want from me, Ten Hag? Like, it's only so far you can go with it, with backing him in that sense, because with the team that you had out, you should be beating that. I don't know if you'd agree, but that's how I feel about it.
I think it's beyond the manager at this point. I don't think he can. Any changes he rotated the squad. He got rid of the problem players, Rashford and Bruno, and he gave other players opportunity, and we still put in that performance. So I don't think it's the manager. It's the players and it's the club. There's still players there who should have been gutted out before Ten Hag came. And I'm talking about Bruno and I'm talking about Rashford and people like that. Not good enough. Like, they ain't good enough for this club. And I don't know when people are going to accept that. And then Ten Hag should not be trusted with every single entire transfer, because this is what happens. Like, every transfer he's brought in and his hit rate is not good. Lisandro Martinez, fine. Anthony, nope. Mason Mount, so far, no. Højlund, still a bit too early to tell. Casemiro, first season, yeah. Second, definitely not. Terrell Malacia, jury's out on him. He has no structure above him. He's trying to run an entire club by himself, and the Glazers are sat there counting their pennies and counting the money, while the club burns to the fucking ground. It's just, the club's a mess, man. Like, the club's a mess, and I know everybody's going to go in on the manager because that's what we do. Like, this, people don't look outside of the manager. They just think, oh, manager is responsible for everything, so let's blame him, let's get rid of him, that'll change everything. How many times have we done that? Like, Moisey came in, he was the problem, get rid of him. Van Gaal comes in, he's the problem, get rid of him. Jose Mourinho comes in, he's the problem, get rid of him. Ollie comes in, he's the problem, get rid of him. Ralph Ragnick comes in, he's the problem, get rid of him. How long are we going to keep doing this, man? Like, how long? Do you do this for another 10 years? Like, something's got to change, man. It ain't the manager. It's everything else above him. That's what's got to change.
But it feels like, I don't know how we're at this point now, but it feels like we're back in the period that, you know what, remember how it felt under Ragnick when it was just miserable and there was no individual players performing at all, that like they just couldn't be asked. And I don't get how we've got to this point now from last season, from it being such a positive for everything we had to deal with and the players that we had in the squad. Vegor for 6 months up top, getting a Carabao Cup and finishing third was very positive after the season we just had. And now we've gone backwards. And I honestly, at the start of the season, I couldn't see any way of this happening. I thought Ten Hag is the perfect manager for it. The in-game decisions that he was making last season was spot on. He would change a game like that. And I remember Steve McLaren talking about that. The players, Lisandro came in and was fantastic. Eriksen was good for the first 6 months. Casemiro was unbelievable. So you could see what he was building. You could see, right, fucking hell, yeah. Thank God we're finally, on the upturn, starting to win games. And for whatever reason, I mean, it's multiple reasons, but this season's just proper gone in the cauldron and just, like, completely capitulated. Like, I never visioned this happening this season. And we have really regressed rather than progressing. And it's obviously, who it's going to lie on. They're going to call for the manager's head.
Yeah.
But the one question I have for everyone who's talking about Ten Hag in the chat, and I'll read some of the comments out in a second. Who the fuck do you go get now?
There isn't anyone.
Do you think
there's no one?
If you bring in someone, the players start playing good again. Because you know what they're like. Bruno, Rashford, these kind of guys. They'll start playing good again. Oh, slightly different tactics. Breath of fresh air. Oh, I like this manager now. He's good. Blah, blah, blah. They probably sign him on a permanent. In a year's time, this same shit will be happening again. Exact same stuff. Yeah. And don't talk to me about Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming in and doing a madness and doing all this. It's just like, I'm sorry, I don't have faith in that.
Like, I didn't agree with the Qatar buyout. I didn't agree with it. Like, I didn't want it, but I know a lot of people did. That was your only opportunity as Manchester United to start again and gut the foundations of this club and get everything back to how it should be. and the ship sailed on that. Like, that's gone. That ain't coming back. That's probably the last time we'll ever have an opportunity to get the Glazers out and reset the club. So, United fans, all these United fans are going, I'm done with the club, I'm not going to support him, blah, blah, blah. You might as well say goodbye now, because it ain't getting better. It's not going to get better. Like, performances aren't going to improve. Recruitment isn't going to improve. The state of the stadium isn't going to improve. Players aren't going to improve while this happens. Like, while this club is in this state, it ain't going to improve. And I think 2 reasons for this season is letting Ten Hag handle every single transfer, not having a structure above him to identify key players that will fit the system, get them for a decent price, and do character profiles on him, because clearly the characters that you're bringing in are not correct. They're not working.
You can't hand someone £400 million without a structure and just say, yeah, go on. Like, it just doesn't work like that.
He's brought Anthony in and he's overpaid for him, because we lost we weren't going to pay it, and then we lost the first 2 games of last season, and he was just like, I need this guy to turn the season round, and they overpaid for him. The guy ain't good enough. He's not good enough, man. Like, he's not good enough.
Not.
We spent 70+ million on Sancho and paying him 375k a week. His character shows he ain't good enough for United, and he can't stand up to the scrutiny. He ain't good enough. Bruno Fernandes, we paid 50 million, was it 60? I can't remember how much. 50, 60. And we handed him the captaincy, and he's a petulant child who kicks off when it's going wrong and doesn't perform in the big games. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, the recruitment from top to bottom, not just under Ten Hag, but for the last 10 years, has been absolutely horrific. And we've overspent, and we've brought in the wrong players. So that's one thing. And then you've got a bunch of bankers and clowns running the fucking show up top who've got no football knowledge, who don't give a shit about playing a style or anything like that. As long as everybody's still coming to the games and paying for the season tickets, paying for tickets, buying the merch, buying the programs and whatever, and bringing that money in, that's all they care about, man. And until fans go, we ain't going anymore, and we're not paying for it, and we're not doing it, it's going to carry on. It's just going to carry on as a juggernaut and just making money, and nothing will ever change, man. Nothing will ever change. And that's where I'm at with this club at the minute. Like, it's just, we're on a downhill trajectory, and we have been for 10 years. And we've had little bit of like momentum bits of like, oh, there's a little bit of hope, and then just back down. But it's been like this. So now you've got a graph, and it's been like this, but then it's been moments of like, and then, but it's been going down the entire time, and that's the club.
Well, the Newcastle B team, as it will, be sat in the dressing room now, and they won't believe that what's just happened at Old Trafford. To go there and win that easy, comfortable, away from home, that's one of the easiest nights of football that they've ever fucking had. Gary Neville just put something out, I think it's a quote after the game, saying, I'm not sure how Ten Hag will be able to revive them this weekend, because the derby on Sunday was not good, and tonight only confirmed what we've seen in the recent days. There's a lack of ideas. It just looks like the players can't be asked. I look at that one with Delo, that the first goal, I think, is the score. The tracking back there. What on earth are you doing? Maguire's fucking in Wonderland somewhere, like just chasing a player like a dog.
That started,
and then Dalot's
did it?
Like,
that started. Garnacho gets shoved off the ball very easily.
Yeah.
Like, I think it goes through the midfield. Mason Mount just watches the ball go past him, makes no attempt to try and intercept it or get on his man, and then it goes to Dalot. And then I think halfway through, when the ball gets pushed through, Dalot halfway through realizes, oh fuck, I'm not gonna get it, and decides to put the afterburners on halfway through the ball. It's too late. It's too fucking late. Yeah. You should have got across and got on your man. And that's
just awareness.
Inexcusable.
Know what's going on behind you.
Inexcusable. Inexcusable for a Premier League fullback defending like that. Inexcusable. Like, absolutely disgraceful.
I'm going to read out some comments. There's quite a few. Dave Wilson saying he's lost the dressing room. His subs are baffling. There needs a clear out of players. Backroom staff. Club is worse than rotten. How many times have we said that, though? I feel like I said that for the
hasn't been done,
on the Jose,
it hasn't
on the Ragnick, on the Ole.
Because
I know.
Woodward was still there after thing. He only went recently. He was still there. The Glazers are still there. I assume most of the staff are still there. John Murtagh's had 2 summer transfer windows and has dropped the ball on every single fucking one. No culpability, no fucking remonstration or anything. He's still there, and he's still probably going to be there for the next 10 years. Like,
UTFR saying I can't remember us being this bad. Lou saying we're fucking shit. We're fucking shit. We can't not let these owners choose another manager. That's it. That's it. Dave saying we don't need to change right now. We need stability. Lewis saying Anthony's wank. Jeff saying over the last 10 years we've regressed so bad that it's going to take shockers to go up. This is not going to be easy. We need to be patient. Red Devil Studio saying it's over. There's a lot of obviously negativity in the chat, and I absolutely understand it. I just don't know where we go from it. I don't know what the fuck do we do now in this situation, because I'm looking at that Fulham game on Saturday and I'm like, that's a tough game now. I don't know, is that away or at home, Fulham? Do you know?
I think it's at home. I think.
It's at home. Well, even still, like, we have Old Trafford ain't a fortress anymore. Last season, we got beat there once by Brighton. This season, we've been twatted loads of times.
Chat saying it's away. Apologies, my bad.
It's away. So Craven Cottage away, an energetic Fulham team who've not played midweek. Like, I mean, come on. I honestly think we could end up finishing mid-table, probably 10th, which would probably be better than finishing for fucking Conference League at this point, because I do not want to be in that.
I think we could. You remember Chelsea season last season?
Yeah.
I think that's where we're heading. We're heading there. Like, people are going to be joking about relegation, and we're going to be right close to it. And then we'll probably pull 2 or 3 wins together towards the end of the season to get us up to, like you said, 10th, 11th. But I think we're going to have a Chelsea season this season. It's going to be fucking abysmal, like apocalyptically bad this season.
Yeah, potentially worse than the Ragnick season, which is just fucking absolutely crazy.
And he only had like 6 months as well. He didn't even have a full season.
Yeah, and everything he said in that press conference, by the way, which United didn't like, it's so spot on, in it. Everything he touched on. I know people were moaning at him for airing dirty laundry and all that kind of shit, but he was so right about everything.
You made that short, and we still get comments on it today. Like, I saw a comment on it yesterday from someone who saw it. Like, it's just been going and going, and so many people just going. It still stands today, what he said. It still stands, and it's just like, it shows you the impact of how he felt and what he was saying, because it's all true.
There's an obvious pattern for me. When managers have... There's a cycle. 1 year, do really well, get back into the Champions League, and then the second season, they don't back them properly with the certain targets that they wanted. There's fucking pandemonium going on around the club that there has been for years. The manager gets called for. He's the one who takes the blame. Bring in another one, rinse and repeat, get Champions League, second year. Like, you could bring in a De Zerbi now. You could bring in a fucking Unai Emery. You could bring in whoever the fuck you want. But the fact is, you know, in a year's time or 2 years' time, the exact same thing is going to happen. So what do we do? That's the question. Like, fans are powerless, really, aren't they? There's nothing we can do at all.
You know what's really funny? Like, all these managers that we called for their heads, and we called for, like, they need to go. And then since they've come out, they've sort of, not negative things about, well, some people would say they'd said negative things, but to me, they've said truthful things. Like, Louis van Gaal said, it's not a football club, it's a commercial club. That's what they're interested in.
And he advised Ten Hag on that, didn't he?
Yeah, Jose Mourinho has similar sentiments and stuff like that. And he said, me finishing second was my second greatest achievement in football. And he's not wrong, because you think about it, that team that he had and the fucking Glazers he had to work under and the transfer window that he got, and he finishes second, like, that's pretty fucking good. So every manager that we call for their heads, they've all come out as right and spot on, pretty much. Like, David Moyes aside, and it's gonna, if we get rid of Ten Hag, a year, 2 years, he's gonna do an interview. He's gonna be at a very successful club. Maybe he's back at Ajax or something. He's rejuvenated them or something like that. And he's going to talk about United. And he's basically going to lay it out and be like, yeah, I tried to do this. They wouldn't let me do it. They handed me this. I was forced this player. I didn't want this player. Blah, and it'll be the same shit. Same shit.
Do you know what bugs me? What's going to distract the fans, right, from what's the actual problem, what has been the problem for the last 18 years is the owners and everything that goes on below them as well. Is the fact that people arguing over this back and forth. You're going to see debates on Twitter between United fans. You're going to see top Reds outside the stadium doing these reactionary videos saying, I told you Ten Hag ain't the one, I told you this, and blah, blah, blah. And that's actually going to distract from the important things at the club that we need to talk about, like the board level, like the Glazers, like these kind of things. And they'll sit there and they'll be happy with it, because it's like, I don't know what the saying is, the philosophical saying, something about anarchy. When that's ongoing, people miss the finer points at this club. And that is
Well,
the huge issue. And that has been the biggest issue here for ages. And you can't separate these little groups and cliques in the fan base because they're too busy arguing amongst themselves saying, well, I was right about that. I told you about Ten Hag. I told you about Bruno. I told you about Rashford. This kind of self-righteous, egotistical view. It's like, I don't care, mate. I just want us to win games. It's as simple as that for me.
That's why you'll never have, ironically enough, a United fan base where we can all get together and protest and force these owners out, not attend games, not buy merch and stuff. You'll never have that happen. It'll never fucking happen because too many fans, like you said, have got too many agendas and too many things because they want to be right and they want to be self-righteous. Like, there's a lot of fans who I think just want us to lose so they can be correct and they be right. Yeah. And it's fucking horrible as a football fan, as somebody who I like watching football. I don't like watching United in a minute, but I like watching football. And someone to go, oh yeah, I want him to think so he can be sacked so I can be right. It's like, what? Why do you watch this club? Like, if you want to watch it for us to lose and for the manager to be sacked, like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's just fucking, it's so weird to me. But there's a phrase that it reminded me of. It's just like, Caesar fiddled by Rome burned to the ground. So like when Rome, famous city, was burning, Caesar was counting his money and just ignoring the complete thing as all his citizens died and all his buildings just like burned to the ground. That's basically what's happening at the club. The Glazers are just counting out their dividends while the fucking stadium burns to the ground and the fans are rioting and just things are going on. And nobody's paying any attention to them. They're just there, like, just counting the dollars out. It's just fucking...
And it's actually got to a point where people are kind of suppressed at being like angry about it because we've moaned about this for so long. Actual rival fans talk about us like all you do is moan about the Glazers. It's more than that. It's blah blah blah. Is it? You said the same thing when Rangnick was here. You said the same thing when Ollie was here. You said the same thing when Jose Mourinho was here. Is it? Is this not? It's a pattern. It's so obvious. What's wrong? Like, even the reports that are coming out over the past couple of days, which we've spoken about leaks and players not being happy and coaches worried and people worried about the jobs. Like, no one knows if they're going to be here in the next 6 months or not. There's been worries amongst the staff in general that just work in like hospitality sections and things. Like, you can't manage a club.
We can't buy the proper kit for the fucking players.
No, little things like this. Like we had it last year. The stupid stories, like, remember they said they couldn't train in the dark? Oh, and hearing stuff like, come off it, man. Get to fuck. Like, this is outrageous. And the biggest worrying thing for me is, every time we get to a point, we say, like, right, we need an overhaul. We need, 10 players going. We need 10 players in. It still feels like that now. Still.
Look at all the players that we were trying to shift in the summer. Scott McTominay, still here. Harry Maguire, still here. I think we were probably trying to get Jadon Sancho out towards the end.
Martial,
still here. Like, there's five players off the top. I'm sure there's more, but there's 5 players off the top of my head that we needed to shift, and they're still there, and they're still causing problems at this club. And then there's probably other players who've had far too many opportunities and far too many graces given to opportunities to perform, and they haven't done them. Rashford, Bruno, for example, like they're not doing it anymore. They're not, like, there's so much work to be done. And I realise teams can't be changed overnight. You can't get rid of 10 players in the summer, but you need to do something drastic at this point. Something drastic has to happen, and I don't know what it is. It's just I don't know what the solution is. I really don't.
No. Ten Hag's, a couple of quotes coming out from Ten Hag saying, you only get confidence when you get the right results, and that's only possible when you follow the rules, follow the principles, and are in the game, in the fight. Players will stand up, they're sticking together. You've seen that. They tried. You have to do it as a team. That is the only way. I disagree. I think.
Where did he try, Eric? Tell me where he tried. No. Because I didn't fucking see that. I did not see.
It's a political answer in it.
I did not see any effort from any of those fucking players tonight. Not a single one.
Yeah. He's also said, I feel sorry for the fans. We know this is not good enough. I have to take responsibility. Paul Merson saying Eric Ten Hag has lost the fans. Not good enough.
That's a lie.
Sorry, not lost the players. Sorry, Sam. Not lost the fans because it got mixed up there. No, he's not. He's not lost. I mean, he's lost half. I'd probably say about 50-50 at the minute from what I've seen online and
He's
people
lost,
talking and
yeah.
stuff.
But like Twitter isn't real life, mate. Like I'd ignore anything that comes from Twitter because it's just a bunch of people who've never been to Old Trafford, couldn't point Manchester on a map of UK. Like they're just reactionary people online. Like I think if you polled the match going fan or like Mancunian based fans, I think you'd probably get a more accurate thing. And I think it'd probably be like 70-30, something like that, I think.
Mm. Andy Cole's also spoken as well. He says, once you cross that white line, it's not about the manager, it's about the players playing for each other. And the players really need to have a good look at themselves now. Once you cross the line, it's not about the manager. And I think I'd agree with that, to be honest with you. I mean, like, there's only so much a manager can do. I can't remember who was speaking about it. It might have been Mourinho or someone else. Obviously, managers are important in terms of order and structure and tactics and what you do on a pitch. But the players are getting away with murder here. Absolute murder.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is Erik ten Hag responsible for Dalot not putting the effort in to get back?
Exactly.
He's not.
Yeah.
Is
that's not coaching. That's fucking lack of concentration.
Is Erik ten Hag responsible for Hannibal for trying to get himself sent off repeatedly for the entire game?
Oh my God.
He's not. Is Erik ten Hag responsible for Martial essentially? I don't remember him having a touch during the game, to be honest with you. Like, just not getting involved in the game, like, at all. Is he responsible for that? No. So it's, like, do you know what I mean?
The one thing he's responsible and culpable for is the recruitment. But again, he's brought in players that he trusts and that he knows because the people above him aren't competent enough to do it. He's probably looked at the recruitment over the past 2 years, but you brought in fucking Waldies like Maguire and Fred and these kind of guys that you're paying a lot of fucking money for and they haven't been good enough. So, sorry, I want to go get these players that I trust and I know who they are, but he shouldn't be doing that. You should have a specialist there.
Yeah.
So he'll get hit with that stick saying like, well, he brought in Anthony. Anthony's 85 million quid. The only reason why we paid 85 million quid for Anthony was because of our board, because of the fucking idiots. Yeah. Otherwise, we would have paid 40, 50 at the start.
We said no to Ajax originally because I think they were quoting like sort of 50, 60, weren't they, originally? I remember.
Yeah.
And then we lost to Brentford and Brighton. And we went back in because Ten Hag was like, I need this guy. And we went back in and Ajax basically knew we were desperate and just went, fuck it, we're going to take the piss and give you basically a go-away price. And said like 80, 90 million. I didn't expect us to fucking pay it. And us like idiots went, oh, okay then. And just paid it. And it's just like, what are you doing? Why is that? Why are you willing to overpay to fucking astronomical odds for this guy? But you wanted to look strong and not pay it for Frankie de Jong. You're like, no, we're not going to go over this. We're not going to pay over the odds. Like, it's bizarre. It's fucking bizarre.
The players need a long, hard look at themselves. That's my main take from this. My laptop is about to die, so we'll read a few more comments out, and then I want to ask you one last question just to kind of end it off. Simon saying, yeah, back Erik ten Hag fully. Andy Williams saying he was at the game. Everyone around me was sick of him. UTFR says, I'm back in ten Hag and I'm a season ticket holder. Do you both feel half the players Erik ten Hag has signed he wanted? No, he also inherited a team that he was also diminished. Erik ten Hag signed 11 odd players, and we have gotten worse since. Explain that. Shirt sales, our bud can't. Yeah, there's a load of stuff going on in the chat. Appreciate every single one of you tuning in. Obviously, at negative times. There'll be pros and cons out in the morning, and it's just going to be all negative. It's just basically going to be cons. There's no positives.
It's very pro. Is there a single pro?
Nothing. I don't even think I could think of one. Literally. United have obviously got tough fixtures coming up. We go again on Saturday at 12:30, which is fucking worrying. How long do you think this manager's got now, Sam? Last question, quickly, if we can.
By the way, we're supposed to do a review of the game. We haven't talked about the game at all because of how bad it was.
Can't blame us, can you? Like, fucking state of this club, mate. Honestly, I don't give a fuck about the game, to be honest. I'm just asked about like.
I'm with you. How long has he got? I think he's got till probably Christmas time. I think Christmas time.
Usual time, isn't it?
Christmas time. Yeah. If Christmas time, if results haven't turned up or like he hasn't strung a couple of wins together, it could be worrying times. Like going just because I think they want to get somebody in January so that he could maybe bring players in. But God knows it. I don't know because apparently it's going to cost him 20 million if they get rid of him. I saw in the Athletic, I believe, and the Glazers going to want to sanction that when we're bleeding money through the arse at the minute. I don't know.
No, it's going to cost £15 million to sack him.
15. There you go.
15 million.
So like, are the Glazers going to want to sanction that? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to want
Absolutely
to
not.
lose 15 million.
No, they don't care. They don't give a shit. They probably didn't even watch this game. They're not clueless to it. Yeah, look, we'll leave it there, guys, because otherwise we're going to just be ranting all night. Appreciate you, like I said, tuning in and getting your comments in. That's the question I'll leave for you is how long has Eric Ten Hag got left for you personally or in general? Leave a comment for us if you still have faith in him or you think his time is completely up now. And then where do we go from here as well? That's another question. If you're pissed off, leave a like on the video for us. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and yeah, well, I'll see you for pros and cons tomorrow. That'll be out midday, so keep an eye out for that. It's gonna be a lot of fucking negative things to talk about. Take care. See you in a bit.
Cheers, everyone.